Hey, I'm Kaley Sharpe,
And I'm Lauren Phillips.
and we're presenting our poster on the effects of an 8-week online versus in-person physical education course on perceived stress in college-age women during the COVID-19 pandemic.
So, we found that stress levels are common among college age women, and we wanted to see how things such as the modality of the course, environments, and such during such a time like COVID pandemic has a role on those stress levels.
So, in our introduction, we've included multiple research studies that have shown how stress can affect college students and people in general, and how the effects of exercise can reduce those stress levels. But what Lauren and I were most interested in was seeing if the modality of those courses and how those courses were taught could reduce those stress levels. So the purpose of our study was to compare the effects of online physical education courses versus an in-person or hybrid course on perceived stress in college-age women.
Yeah, and Kaylee and I hypothesized that an online physical education course would increase stress levels among college age women more than an in person class.
So for our methods, we had 58 women that attend Meredith College. They were able to voluntarily complete our survey if they were enrolled in a fall 2020 semester physical education course. So our survey was sent out at the beginning of the 8 weeks, and it had questions such as demographic questions, COVID-19 related questions, the modality of the course, if it was online or in person or hybrid. Then they were given a perceived stress scale, which is posted on our poster. And that just asks questions about how certain situations make them feel. So they were given this test at the beginning of the 8 weeks and then again at the end, and we use that for data analysis. So determining the perceived stress scale score, Lauren and I calculated them ourselves using the score that is given with the scale. And then the course modality. So in the fall 2020 semester, PED courses were offered either in-person hybridly, which included in-person components or completely online. So statistical tests were used. We used a Wilcoxon sign rank test and a Mann-Whitney U test to analyze the data. And then we have pictures here of a professor teaching an asynchronous class and students participating in an in-person physical education course.
Yeah, in our results, we found in table one, it compares the online versus in person. And so we found that there was no significant effect on stress levels based on the modality of the course. In table two, we compared the beginning or the pre to post. So from the beginning of the 8 weeks to post after the 8 weeks physical education course. And there was also no significance found there in stress levels. And then in table three, we looked at stress levels from the beginning of the first 8 weeks. So we're comparing both 8 weeks and then also at the end of the 8 weeks, but also comparing the end of 8 week 1 and 8 week 2. We did not find a significance in stress levels when comparing the pre-test of the 8 weeks, but we did find a significance in looking at the post-test of the 8 weeks. So kind of going into those results a little bit more, we found that things such as, interpersonal relationships could have effect on that modality of the course. So things such as like not being able to sit next to your friend, because there was shown that stress levels were lower in education courses that were taught in person, but there was just no significance shown within our data.
So while a decrease in perceived stress levels were not indicated in our study, they were there. They were maintained. So they didn't increase and they didn't decrease, but they did maintain. And also we noticed that at the beginning of when the pretest was given in both semesters, there was no difference, but in the post test for both semesters, there was a difference, which we thought maybe midterms and finals could play a role in that. Yeah, Lauren.
So a limitation of this research study was that our sample size was super small. 58 women, that doesn't really give you enough to look at it. So if we were to do this in the future again, we'd hope that we'd have a lot more women participate, and also maybe even looking at those that are in physical education courses and those that are not, to really see if there's that reduce in stress levels because you're being physically active.
So our study results indicate that perceived stress levels in college-age females over a course of 8 weeks is maintained no matter the modality of the course. And then listed are our references, and we would like to thank Dr. Robinson, our advisor, and all of the ESS department for their support and encouragement throughout this entire process.
Thank you.